It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, July the 6th. Whew, baby. Let's just come right out with it. The highway to hell, we've all been there. Well, if that is, we've ever tried to teach our kids how to drive. We've all experienced that situation. It's, well, Zepp, as you said, it's driver's ed season. A lot of kids in the summer going for those driver's licenses, it seems like. And, it's a yearly tradition. It's a generational thing. We've all gone through it. But it's amazing to me, and we're just talking right before the show, the difference in driver's ed protocols from state to state or region to region to region. Like driver's ed, there's a lot of places where that's just not a thing.
Yeah, that blew my mind. You said, down south, it's taken a little bit differently. When I grew up in South Dakota, I don't even know in South Dakota any longer, but when I was growing up in the 80s, it was 14. You got your driver's license because the farm kids had to have a license so they could start driving, which meant that we started driving at 12.
Now, was 14 just across the board, or was it you had to say, well, no, I am on a farm, your parents vouch for you, or was it just 14's the driving age?
14 was the driving age, yeah. I'll have to double check and see what it is over there these days. But yeah, 14, which means that, they started putting you on a farm behind the wheel at 12. I couldn't hit the brake and the clutch at the same time, so Dad would say, just hit the clutch, it'll roll to a stop, because we're out in the middle of a field. But I was following him in the tractor, and he didn't tell me about those declines. So I got behind him, and I hit the clutch and ran into the back of the tractor, and he got off kind of smiling, and I knew I thought, well, he's smiling, that's weird. But yeah, then he told me about, you got a brake thing there. The clutch doesn't work on hills. But yeah, driver's ed.
Wow.
We'd have to learn in a city, though, man.
It's a weird thing, as you mentioned. I got my driver's license in Kentucky. I got my permit. It was a written test. You get your permit, and then 30 days later, you can go take a driver's test. They don't ask if anyone's taught you anything. There was no driver's ed established. My parents, being good Michiganders and responsible upper Midwesterners, they taught us how to drive. They took it very seriously. To their credit. But I had friends who their driver's ed consisted of an older sibling maybe taking them out once or twice. Parent took them out once or twice. It was just, this is your whole life. You'll figure it out. Just don't run a red light with the instructor next to you, and you'll be fine. And And consequently, I spent my high school years rarely getting in cars with my friends who were driving. Seriously, people were driving around. It was like a demolition derby out there.
Yeah, my dad said he just sent his name in, and they sent him a license, and he was a horrible driver.
There's a cause and effect to that statement.
Did he teach you to drive, Tony?
No, he was an absolute nervous wreck.
Oh my God.
We didn't want him in the car. It was always Mom.
My mom actually taught me to drive. By the time I came around, I guess my dad had finally accepted enough feedback that you're not good at this, because he was just so intimidating, generally speaking. Like my dad saying, "Would you like some more sausage in the morning?" scared the crap out of me. So him asking me to drive a car that he was sitting in, that was just not going to work on any level. So my mom was a really good driving instructor. I tried to pass that along to my kids. My son did great. My daughter, same thing. I took my daughter out one time. She was almost 18. She waited 2 years to get her license. She was just about to turn 18. She'd gotten her permit, and we were in the neighborhood, calmly, slowly driving around. And as we were approaching a stop sign, I said, "Now go ahead and start to brake now." And she literally broke hard, pulled over, and started to cry.
Oh.
And I was like, "Babe, and she was just like, I don't know, I just can't do it. I need Mom to help." And I was like, "Wow, okay."
I got this. What is it with
I'm like
the dads?
I'm a teddy bear. What are you talking about?
You are a teddy bear. I'm not a teddy bear. I'm just a bear, I guess. But with my daughters, I am definitely a teddy bear. And same kind of thing. Like, Dad, you're too intimidating. I don't want to get intimidating. I'm a pushover. You get everything you want, but they wanted Mom. I don't know.
Weird. That's not my experience, because my mom, every time we would drive, she'd do the whole.
Oh man, that's not good.
The whole time.
Wow.
Yeah. Does she do that thing where she just instinctively throws her arm across your chest every time there's anything? I still get that from Maria. Will do that if she has to hard brake. She'll throw her hand across my chest. Thanks, Mom. Got my seatbelt
Yeah.
on, car seat strapped in. But, you guys are going to love this. This is a video we found yesterday. I think we've all enjoyed it. Now, I do you a disservice because I probably over-edited this. What you're not going to hear is how much Dad swore when this happened. I may have to re-edit this thing, but it's a great piece of audio. Imagine they're just coming down a city street, and there's a little bit of a pothole, and he says, oh, watch out for that little bit of a pothole there. So the kid makes a right-hand turn and turns it a little tight. There's a retaining wall there that steps up, okay? We can all picture that, a retaining wall that just goes up block by block, and the front passenger side wheel catches that retaining wall, rides up the wall, and flips the car on its side. And here's what the PG version sounded
We'll
like.
go around behind Kroger so you don't have to deal with... There's a big hole right there. Ah! Stop, stop, stop! Ah! Oh, Sammy, you okay? Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, buddy. So what now? I don't know. Turn the car off.
They're on their side.
Are you hurt? I don't think so. Should I call 911? Yeah.
Yeah, we let Dad off the hook there a little bit by taking out some of the cussing and swearing, but you can imagine.
I'm
what a
50. I'll be 58 next year.
Yeah.
My dad's been gone for 6 years. If I imagine rolling a car on my driver's test in 1981, at me sitting right here, right now, my central nervous system goes haywire.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been, that was a good one. Are you okay? It would have been, there would have been some serious, what they would say, corn being dished out.
Yeah, it's weird. My dad was, the more serious the accident was or the screw-up was, the lighter he tended to be.
Yeah. You know what? I can actually relate to that too. My dad, like in times of intense, like crisis moments, that's
Yeah.
when he would be like, the key is to stay calm. You
Yeah.
know, like you'd
Right.
literally leave a shoe sticking out from under the couch, and it was
hell
like
would break
DEFCON
loose.
1.
Yeah.
And then you'd hear about something going down. He would go straight to Red Cross volunteer mode when there was a problem. Like, we've got to handle this. Let's go. Buckets, hoses, boil some water, tear some sheets. He would just go into start barking out orders for things.
Yeah.
Yeah, driver's ed though. My daughter, when she actually got her license, now this was in Tennessee a couple years ago. There is driver's ed down there, and they do suggest you take it. Like, you can get cheaper insurance if you pass your driver's test. And so she took it with a place that my son had done a couple years ago, but the difference was there was a pandemic happening in the summer of 2020. So she decided, with empty streets, this is a good time for me to learn how to drive, which we agreed with. She went through her classes. We drove her a lot. I drove her once. My wife drove her a lot. She took her classes. I took her to the actual driver's test. She got out of my car, got into a car with a driving instructor, and she backed out of the parking space, and they exited a parking lot. They were back in that parking lot, I'm not making this up, in 90 seconds. It was less than 2 minutes. And I thought, oh, man, she totally cratered. She just lost it. Or the car's got a malfunction. They pulled in. She got out. I put the window down. I'm like, what's up? She's like, no, we're done. I'm like, excuse me? And the guy's like, good job, Marley. Here you go. Hands her a certificate. Now you take this to the DMV. And I'm like, yo, wait, what just happened? He's like, she did great. The driver's test, I guess it was because there was a pandemic. And the guy they literally left the parking lot, took a right turn, went to a roundabout, turned around. She parallel parked and came right back. She parallel parked on a street with no other cars.
Did the driving instructor think the pandemic was going to last forever? It's the end of times.
It
What's
doesn't matter. It was
There's-
insanity.
Where
And
would he have to be? Maybe he's going to the movies.
I walked into the office. Now, again, this is summer of 20, so everyone's masked. Everyone's keeping very, very, not 6 feet. Everyone's 16 feet away from each other. And I'm like, yeah, I just have to ask a question about the driver's test. And she's like, Dad, they gave it to me. Let's go. And I'm like, no, this is ridiculous.
Oh, my God, that's a kid's nightmare. Dad, we got away with it. Let's go.
But as it turns out, she both my kids are good drivers. We stressed, if we don't trust you, like if I'm at all uncomfortable sitting in the car with you, you're not leaving the house in this car. It's that simple. So, and it worked, thankfully, because if I had a driver I truly didn't trust as one of my kids, I I'd feel terrible unleashing them on the world.
Well, I've heard it said before, and when you think about it, driving is the most dangerous thing most people will do. When you think about it, my oldest, Taylor, we had to sneak her across the county line to get. She failed a couple of times in Scott County, and there was something where she was like, "I can't go back in there." Failed twice, so we had to take her over to Carver County and put a wig on her and sunglasses. No, we didn't do all that.
Candace, if your mom's shrieking and freaking out the whole time, who actually taught you how to drive?
My grandpa.
Oh, Gramps came in, saved the day.
Good old Gramps.
I'm a good driver because of him. I also got my driver's license on Friday the 13th, so that's super badass.
Nice. That is badass. Does it say McCloven? Is your name?
Yeah.
McCloven? That would be extra badass. And with that, it is time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Boy, a shocker in Hollywood. Sound of Freedom, the Jim Caviezel Christian-based movie about child sex trafficking, actually beat Indiana Jones at the box office on the 4th of July.
That is shocking.
That is shocking.
Wow.
Hey, I got a question for you. Is most of your television watching streaming, cable, or regular broadcast?
Streaming at this point.
According to a national survey, 40% Americans are streamers, 31% cable, 22% watch broadcast.
Well, now, I don't like being labeled, Mike.
I'm sorry about that.
I'm just telling you what I do. Live sports and streaming. That's about it.
Okay. It is officially vacation time, and if you're headed to Las Vegas, here are the top 5 live residency shows, and the hardest ticket to get. Number 5, Usher. Number 4, Adele. Number 3, Garth Brooks. Number 2, Katy Perry. Number 1, Carrie Underwood.
She's in Vegas already? What is she, like 29?
Carrie Underwood?
God.
How old is Carrie Underwood?
I don't know. It seems kind of young to be going Vegas route to me, but, what do I know? I didn't even know Katy Perry was doing that.
Yep. Yeah, she is.
Go figure.
Show business. Boy, what a bloodbath over at Disney, having fired thousands of people last year from parks and studios and merchandise production and their TV networks. And I guess ESPN, boy, they brought the hammer down.
They did.
Max Kellerman, Jeff Van Bundy, Susan Colbert, Keyshawn Johnson, Jalen Rose. I hear this is just the beginning. A lot more are going to be let go. Not exactly the happiest place on earth.
I wouldn't think so. There's going to be, I guess, SportsCenter is just going to be AI by the end of the year, probably.
Probably. Some medical news. I don't know what the deal is with Heather Locklear. She has had substance abuse and mental issues for years. And over the 4th of July, she was seen sitting on the edge of her roof in Malibu, just talking to herself and making faces. Her family says there's nothing wrong, but I've seen the video. Obviously, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Very odd Broadway news. A couple stories. Once Upon a One More Time is playing at one of my favorite theaters in New York, the Marquee. It's a Britney Spears musical. Huh?
What?
That's what I said. Huh? What? Britney Spears musical? Okay. Without Britney Spears, of course.
Right.
And also playing at the original Broadway Theater in New York, Here Lies Love. This is a musical about, of all people, Imelda Marcus.
Wow. She of the shoe collection.
Yeah. Imelda used to frequent the Times grocery store, the same store that I shopped at in Kahala. It was very weird. Ferdinand and Imelda were granted exile status after being thrown out of the Philippines. The joke was when they moved in, there goes the neighborhood.
Well, when you cross the Beatles, it's only a matter of time till your empire crumbles.
Exactly. And that reminds me, so you heard about Ben and Jerry, right?
A couple of guys made some ice cream up in Vermont, as far as I know, yeah.
And they say that the United States needs to give back some of the land that they cockroached from the Native Americans.
Sure, okay.
And that brings me to something a little personal, but, in January 1893, President William McKinley had American armed forces forcibly overthrow the sovereign nation of Hawaii. Bullets through the palace. Queen Liliuokalani was removed from her home.
Right.
I mean, nobody ever talks about that, but boy, that's one of the most horrible things I think our government's ever done.
They have. It's that darn great weather and beautiful climate that makes people not want to think about anything else.
Exactly.
See, you go to the Dakotas, you go to Montana in the wintertime, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, let's have a bleak conversation about something horrible our government did.
Yeah, isn't that true?
Hawaii? No, just give me another Mai Tai, dude.
Yeah, we'll give some of South Dakota back, but not Hawaii.
Yeah. Hey, have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. See you.
See you, Mike. So we got a little Hawaiian history and a Hollywood report today. I had no idea all those people that he mentioned were doing Vegas residencies. Usher, Katy Perry. This is all news to me. I'm not keeping up with my pop stars, that's for sure. One thing we've already been discussing today: driver's ed, or its evil twin, parents teaching their children to drive. And we've got a lot of comments and calls. Candace, we do have a caller right now, I believe.
Dave from Andover.
Good morning, Dave. What's up?
Yeah.
What's happening?
You're talking about driving, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I grew up, my parents are divorced. My mom didn't drive, so we never had a car. So I was really, anxious.
Where was this?
In St. Paul.
Wow.
Yeah, I was raised in St. Paul.
Okay.
And so I went out to, get my driver's license, and I hadn't driven. This was before it was mandatory. I'm 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It was before, many people even had driver's ed, and it wasn't required. And, you could just go out and take your test.
Right.
So I hadn't driven much at all. And I had the buddies of mine take me out one day, and I failed. I got like a 68 or a 69, So I was, really anxious, and actually you're supposed to wait a while. But I went out right the next day and got like an 85. So I got my driver's license.
Attaboy.
And
get back on that Pinto.
Oh, hey, I loved it, man. Anyway, it's all I wanted to do all my whole life was, be able to drive because we didn't have a car. And so I ended up being a truck driver most of my life and drove everything.
Wow.
From semis, dump trucks, whatever.
Yeah, that's a turnaround.
And I became an instructor. And there was a young lady that I took out and, for a test, and she failed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt really, really bad for her because, she was doing okay, and she just barely missed it. So I actually ended up taking her right from one testing station, here in the Twin Cities to another one. And, so within a couple hours, she went out and took it again and passed and got her driver's license.
That's nice. Now finish this story by telling me you've been married for 40 years to that girl. No? Okay, all right.
Not that good. My wife and I have actually been together for 33.
Oh, well, hey, that's great in itself. I love the Dave, I like growing up without a car, and then you end up being a driver for a living. That's fantastic. Thank you for listening, my man, and thank you for the call.
Great show, guys.
Appreciate you.
Well, it seems like a little bit of a pushover, if you don't mind my saying, Dave. I mean, just be a little tougher on the kids. He felt bad. Well,
yeah. Hey,
him.
he drove a mile in her driver's seat. You know what I mean? He knew what it's like to barely miss out on that driver's test.
Yeah.
Candace, do we have another call?
Yes, Leah from Carver.
Leah, good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening?
I do kind of have a driver's ed love story.
All right.
When I was 15 in Lesueur, and I got to learn how to drive in a 77 old 98, one of those big, really long cars.
Yeah,
and,
boat.
So my older sister, every evening, would say, hey, let's go practice driving. And she'd make me drive all over town, and like the bank was closed, so we'd pull up to the drive-thru and all this. So I think I got a lot of attention trying to maneuver that car around.
Right.
And there was a new police officer in town, and I had no idea this was going on, but my sister was getting his attention, having me drive all over town every night. And they've been married 40 years now.
Wow. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever happened to that car?
Oh, I'm sure my dad sold it away. But man, we would get the whole girls basketball team in that to go to practice.
Oh, heck yeah, you would.
Hilarious. So yeah.
That's awesome. Leah, thank you for the call.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Now, you just never know where you're going to find love, guys.
No, you just never know.
To.
Yeah. Out at the State Fairgrounds is a great place. That's where I taught one of my daughters how to ride motorcycle because it's like a little city out there, right, with all that traffic. In fact, I was talking with Matt, who works over at the State Fairgrounds. He called into the show one morning, and he said, oh, yeah, you get a lot of parents over there showing their kids how to drive at the State Fairgrounds.
Wow, that does check out. A lot of
you
Target.
can knock over a corn dog booth.
Oh, I wish they had one over there now. I'd go knock one over.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, July the 6th. Good morning. We've been talking about driver's ed today, the worst kind, the parent kind, the kind that we sign up for unwittingly when we decide to have kids. One day you're welcoming a brand new baby boy or girl and you're thinking, I finally understand the meaning of life. And before you know it, you're in a car with that person and you are making some serious you're doing some serious second guessing on life decisions. We've all been there. And we've got a couple of callers, and I'm going to get to you in just a moment. But seriously, you've got to hear this video. There's this audio, but there is a video component you can find online. Audio of a guy and his son out going around town, teaching his son to drive, and he mentions there's a big pothole. He hopes the kid can avoid it. The kid doesn't avoid it. Not only does he not avoid the pothole, he also doesn't avoid a retaining wall. One thing leads to another. The car ends up on its side. Now, whatever you're thinking that's going to look like, trust me, you'll appreciate what it sounds like.
Yep. We'll go around behind Kroger so you don't have to deal with all the shite. Ooh, there's a big hole right there. Ah! Stop! Oh, Jesus, Sam, are you okay?
They're going like 8 miles an hour, by the way.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, buddy. So what now? I don't know. Turn the car off. All right. Are you hurt? I don't think so. I don't think I can open the door. Can I call 911? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to do. I've never been on my side in a car, son.
I love when the wall is coming and Dad just goes, bop, 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 bop.
Hey, why is your foot still on the gas?
He when times are stressful, that guy goes straight to Warren Zevon. Beep. At the end of Werewolves of London. He calls for the Zevon. Beep.
It's just not enough time to react. You're hoping that the foot... It's crazy, though, when the kids get paralyzed, that foot will not come off the accelerator.
No.
Rich, on the KQ Facebook post, the shortest and maybe my favorite entry today, she drove the car into a Walmart.
Yeah, I love it. Into.
Wow.
Especially when Dad starts going, when it starts making the noise, that you just you freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's an amazing, Malcolm Gladwell wrote a whole piece on, you remember there was a period of time there when it was, I think it was a series of Lexus cars, the accelerators got stuck. And people crashed. It was pretty tragic. And Toyota settled a huge lawsuit. And basically, after all the black boxes that cars have and all the research they did, most often these were loaners from dealers, and people were unfamiliar with the cars. They were cramming the brake with everything they had, but it was actually the gas. It was driver error, and Toyota made the decision. We'll never get people to believe that. So they said, we had some mix-ups. We fixed it now, and they paid out millions of dollars in settlements. And the truth was, all the evidence conclusively said it was driver error every time, but they knew nobody would buy it.
Right.
It's crazy because, to your point, when someone panics, we've all seen people do it on motorcycles or scooters, or you just rev that engine and it starts to go and you just freeze. It happens all the time. We've got a bunch of people who have comments and stories they want to share. Candace, who is up on the who's caller number one right now?
Diane from Robbinsdale.
Diane, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
What's going on, Diane? What do you got for us?
I have a brother. I have a twin brother. His name is Doc. And this is up in Herman, Minnesota, a long time ago. And we had to do driver's training together because it's a little bitty town. And so I'm driving, have the instructor next to me. My brother's in the back seat. I'm like the worst parallel parker in the entire world. I've done it like twice in my life. So we're practicing the parallel parking. I drive over the curb. Twin brothers in the back seat, literally rolling on the floor. And it was like the most embarrassing thing ever. Of course, it made it worse just because he's back there.
Oh, yeah.
And now he is a truck driver. He drives over the road.
Now he's a truck driver.
Yeah, he's a truck driver, yes. Not me.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. All right, so, but still driving, still doing well out there, you are?
Oh, certainly, yes.
All right. Takes time. Thank you, Diane. We appreciate the call.
I had one time, I got Taylor, my oldest, in the vehicle, and we were going somewhere. I said, well, Taylor's going to drive for us. We don't have to go very far, just through a residence here, down to the quick stop. Sid, you can come along. You jump in the back seat. You can't take a sibling along while you're teaching a child to drive. That's the biggest distraction in the world, and they both know it.
That's bad news. Tony, we have a text?
Yeah, this is from Jada. She said got her license on her 4th try. I was driving on the streets for months before I took my first test, so I knew what I was doing. I had a rental car and the AC didn't work. This big sweaty guy got in my car and right away yelled at me for not having the AC on and started deducting points because of that. He was super mean, made me nervous, and I had 2 more after that who taught me how to drive. My boyfriend, who 37 years later is my hubby.
Well,
how about that?
Isn't that nice?
He wasn't the big sweaty one, though.
No.
Wow.
She says, thanks for all the stories.
Points off from the big sweaty guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
The air's not on. Check.
I was standing in downtown Hopkinsville, Kentucky as like a 9th grader, me and my brother Doug, and we hear a horn, and we look up, and our friend from school, Chuck King, drives by. And he goes, yo, Gormans! And he waves, and we can hear his radio cranking. He was taking his driver's test. Yeah, and he not only had the radio on, he honked, pointed, and yelled at us, and he got points taken. He was telling us later, he goes, yeah, I was taking my test. That guy was mad. We're like, yeah, I bet he was. This is fantastic. Candace, do we have another caller?
Susan from White Bear Lake.
Susan, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're great, thank you. What have you got for us?
My father taught me how to drive, and he passed away at 85. He never was in an accident and never got a ticket, and he drove for a living. So he taught me how to drive, and I took my test in an orange AMC Hornet station wagon with wood paneling.
Sure you did.
My freaking iconic.
Yeah.
It did not have power steering, but everything went well until I did the parallel parking, and I failed. I was too far from the curb. And so Dad said, we are practicing. So we practiced the next day, and I said, Dad, it's getting dark, and I haven't eaten. He said, you have to nail this. And so I pretty well had it down in the Hornet, and so we went the next day, and I took it, and I passed it. But it was, my dad just wanted all 4 of us to excel at everything and never fail, but I will never forget that Hornet.
I'm looking at a photo of a 76 AMC Hornet Sport About wagon right now, and yeah, that's a bad ride right there.
Kind of want
it
one.
It was, yeah.
Man, that's
Susan,
awesome.
I would challenge anyone, including myself, listening this morning, to parallel park today without power steering. Just go out there and jump in the
possible.
He said, well, Brooke, your older brother's passed. And I said, I'm not as strong as them. He's like, well, just get strong.
No, I gotta work the triceps a little bit before I try that out, man. That's
No kidding.
That is a stinking workout. Susan, thank you for the call.
Thank you, guys. Great show.
Thank you.
Love those AMC cars. The Gremlin, the Pacer, the Matador.
The Matador.
Oh, yeah. Those were... Man. You don't see them around much anymore, probably for a reason, and it wasn't their looks, but... Yeah, they are iconic in their time. Shannon wrote on Facebook, trying to teach my daughter to drive in a minivan. There was a 30-mile-an-hour curve. I knew it. I told her to slow down. She said she was trying. She took the curve at 55.
Trying.
I shrieked going around it when she got to the end of the curve. We were in the wrong lane with a car coming straight at us. 9 years later, I'm still uneasy riding with her. Yeah, my daughter,
That'd do it.
Sid the kid. Yeah, she was the worst. She just such a nervous driver, and now it's she drives with her knee, tailgating, speeding while I'm in the vehicle. I'm like, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough thing. Like I said, I feel just there, but for the grace of God, go I. I'm comfortable with both my kids, and they're probably not, but I am at least. So that's what's far more important. Yeah, those AMC, the Hornet and the Matador, like you said. I mean, have death traps ever been more stylish?
No, wood paneling.
Good Lord,
Family
Candace, do we have another caller?
Bob from Mendota Heights.
Bob, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, great. Here, what do you got for us?
Well, let me preface this. I'm 70 years old, okay, and I got my first motorcycle when I was 12. I got it out of the dump, okay, and the kid down the street helped me get it going, right? I rode it till I was 14, and then the Ramsey County Sheriff took it, and I spent the weekend in Woodview Detention Home. They called my mother, and she said, keep them. But anyways, when I went down to take my road test for the motorcycle, this guy down there, I was waiting in line with him, and he had a red mohawk and a really stretched out homemade Harley chopper.
No, how?
And I said, how many times you been here? And he said, well, this is my 6th time. And I said to him, you're not too smart, are you? I said, once you get a bike, you can go through the obstacle course with. But anyways, apparently I got in contact with the license plate down there. This guy had been back 8 times. He finally got it.
Good Lord. Hey, those choppers, they don't like cones. They don't like tight turns. No figure eights on a chopper, but stuck with it.
Well, the instructor, right, crew cut all the way, ex-Marine, right?
He failed when he pulled up with a mohawk.
With the red mohawk, yeah.
That is awesome. Bob, thanks for the call, brother.
You bet. Bye-bye.
That's great. Man, the driver's test on the chopper.
Yeah.
That says all you need to know about how far we've fallen as a society.
Yeah, no.
No one's doing
I don't
that
remember
these
my
days.
motorcycle test. I remember there were some cones. You had to stop, get 30 miles an hour at this line and stop before you got to that line. But, yeah, chopper just makes everything more difficult. They look good rolling down the road. That's about it.
That's a fact. They do. Candace, do we have time for another call?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Paul from Egan.
Paul, good morning.
How you doing?
Great, sir. What do you got for us?
Well, when I do my behind the wheel at high school back in the 70s, the teacher said, well, we can do it, but it's got to be Saturday morning at like 7. I said, oh, that's fine. So we're driving around, I look over, and the guy's sleeping on me. I drove around for an hour with him sleeping. I got to school, and he wakes up and he goes, well, should we get going? I said, it's 8 o'clock. I'm done.
Oh, my
at his watch, and he didn't know what the hell happened.
Well, you must have done a good job, but you know how you wake up when you try to sleep with someone and they slam on the brakes or swerving. So you must have done a good job. You kept them sleeping. Maybe that was the test.
Well, he asked me if I hit anything, so...
Oh, man, that is awesome. That's great.
I got a little Black Crow story, too. Back in, I think it was the 90s, they were playing in town here, and after the show, they rented the bowling alley out at Lariat Lanes for an after party.
Yeah, 1990, baby. First time ever in the Twin Cities.
That's right. And you remember who was your special guest at the bowling alley that you guys hired?
No clue. Who was it?
Party Time Girls. There was one naked girl on every lane.
Oh.
You couldn't believe it.
How could you not remember that?
I literally have no recollection of that whatsoever. No, it was the T-shirt. Our merch company was based here. They threw a bowling party for us. We had cool sweatshirts with the Crows with bowling pins that my son still wears on occasion, and I don't remember a thing about the naked girls in the bowling alley.
Well, we have some fine swag here at KQ, but I think we need a new T-shirt company. Are they still in business?
I don't. They were called Nice Man. We can find out. Listen. As a child of the bowling industry, believe me, you put me on the lanes, I'm worried about my score.
Yeah,
on the lanes. I'm not worried about the score after.
Excuse me, lady. Could you spread your legs a little further? I'm trying to get a ball down through there and bowl here.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, brother.
It was a great party, though.
Yeah.
Glad you made it. I'm glad one of us remembers it.
A girl in each lane, huh? Okay.
The Eagles, in case you missed it, have announced the long goodbye final tour. They're playing the XL Energy Center Friday, November 17th. Holy smokes! Eagles, the long goodbye. The quote I liked from Don Henley was, "We'll play as many shows as demand allows," which means they're going to be on the road till 2037.
Yeah, right.
That is a long goodbye. Hey, at least they're calling it like it is. They're calling their shot. I'd say they've earned the right after 52 years. Okay, more importantly than a show that's not coming up for months is that we are about to give away something pretty cool. And we're going to do it in a way that's pretty cool. We've got a game, Tony, and I believe this game is called, what is it?
Band, not a band. Band name or not. Yep, band name or not, well, as far as we know. What we're going to do is give you names, and you determine is that actually a band or not.
I like it.
How about that?
Nothing harder than naming the band. Band, not a band. It's a good name for a band, actually. Band, not a band.
It is.
I mean, was not was worked.
You clever
that's
rascal.
Right. Was not was.
Yeah, man. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to give away tickets to the sold-out Lakefront Music Festival featuring Skinnerd and Speedwagon. Or you will have if you win this game, you can choose to see Ann Wilson of Heart at the Pantages on July 18th. Therefore, let's get to it. Candace, who is contestant number 1?
We have Matt from Jordan.
Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We certainly can, sir.
Awesome.
Appreciate that sound check. Are you ready to play Band, Not a Band?
I've never played this.
Well, neither have we.
Right, it's new for all of us.
This is new for all of us, my friend.
All right, well, let's give her a go.
Tony, Matt wants to give her a go.
Matt, we're going to give
in
you...
the fast lane. Let's go.
Okay, wow.
Man.
Maddie, I like your enthusiasm. We're going to give you 7. You say band or not. Number 1 is Mr. Mister.
That is not a band.
Oh, my heavens,
Matt.
Matt tripped up, but that's okay.
It's okay. Take these broken wings and get it back on track, brother.
All right, Matt, number 2.
Didn't get the reference.
Matt, number 2 is Queens of the Stone Age.
Well, that's not a band.
Yeah, no.
Oh, my heavens, Matt.
Name a band that. Seriously.
Maddie, 0 for 2. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with going 5 for 7. You're still got a chance at that.
Nope, keep the enthusiasm
Go
going,
against your
mister.
instincts.
Matt, number 3 is Honey Bunches of Oats.
Not a band.
Attaboy.
Yes. Doesn't that feel good?
Now we're on the we're on the board.
Sometimes I feel like a champion.
All right, Matt, next up, Adventures in Babysitting, band or not?
Not a band, but a great movie.
Right.
One of the best ever.
Man,
Young Elizabeth Shue.
someone has found his groove.
Keep it going, pal. Next up, Natalie Portman's Shaved Head.
Well, that's not a band, but would be fun to see.
Oh, man, it is a band.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
What was that song they had?
Unbelievable. Can I get tickets to that?
Well, we'll keep you posted. Wow.
All right, Matt, 2 more. Next up, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say that is a band.
You are absolutely
Attaboy.
correct. And
Yes.
I got one more for you, Matt. Milk Dud Fraud. Band, not a band.
That sounds like a band.
Sorry. Made up. It's all right, Matt.
I tell you what, that was a hard fighting 3 for 7, Matt. You are absolutely still in the running, as this is clearly as difficult a competition as we've ever seen. Hang on there, Matt. We're going to see how your competition does. And Candace, who is Matt's competition?
Brian from Spring Lake Park.
Brian, good morning.
Morning.
Are you ready for a little band, not a band?
I am.
All right, Tony's gonna take it away then.
Let's go to it, Bri. Number 1, Goo Goo Dolls.
That is a real band.
Sure is.
It is. Number 2, Bowling for Soup.
That is a real band.
Right, coming out strong.
Got some attitude. Number 3, Hippity Hop to the Barber Shop.
That's not a real band.
Wow, 3 in a row. Very impressive. Number 4, Oingo Boingo.
That's a real band.
Yep, one of my faves. Number 5, the Bill Lumbergh Experience.
Wow. That is a tricky one. I'm going to go with That's a Real Band.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Bill Lumbergh from Office Space.
I was curious. I was like, I'm sure there's a reference there somewhere.
Maybe they just haven't made an album yet.
Right. All right, 2 more. Next up is Chumbawamba.
That's a real band.
Yep.
Make no mistake. Brian's got the box set.
Don't even have to play the song now. It's in my head. Damn it.
Your last one?
No.
But I get up again.
Sorry.
Just knock him down.
Bri, your last one is Diarrhea Planet.
It should be a real band, but I'm going to go with not a real band.
I'm sorry.
You were so close.
You put that on. And
Should have went with my instinct.
Yep.
They opened for butt gravy at First Avenue.
Hey, but that's that's okay because you went 5 for 7, Brian. That means you are the winner today. Congratulations. And you get to choose. Do you want tickets to see Skinnerd and REO Speedwagon at the Lakefront Music Festival July 14th, or do you want to see Ann Wilson of Heart at the Pantages on July 18th?
Oh, I'm probably an idiot, but I'm going to go with Heart because I'm a heartthrob for Ann. So.
Oh, listen.
There you go. That's
Brian, not an idiot at all. There is nothing wrong with Ann Wilson. That woman has not lost a note. Congratulations. So that means Matt, who went 3 for 7, you got a couple tickets to go see Skinnerd and REO Speedwagon. Congrats to you both.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yeah.
I guess with one show you get 2 bands. With the other one you get half a band.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on what you prefer.
So you got half, yeah, right.
You know, do you go fat-free yogurt and eat a whole bowl, or do you just take a couple bites of full-fat yogurt?
It's a conundrum.
It's just the kind of decisions we have to make in life.
I've never made a yogurt decision before. I'm going to write that down for later today.
It's just one of those things that occurs to me on occasion.
Fat yogurt.
I don't, it's like, would you rather have a couple bites of a great burger, or would you rather have like a whole Big Mac from Thursday? Today's Thursday. Sorry, from Monday.
Just remember, if you have a romantic evening, you want to put on some Diarrhea Planet.
Diarrhea Planet. That's a bigger band than you might think. Like seriously, that band sells some tickets, man. Wow. Yeah, haven't thought about the band name or not. That's a good game, Tony. I like that one.
That was fun.
I like that one a lot. Okay, here's a band name, or is it Kansas? Yes, of course it is. Also a state name. I know someone who has a daughter named Kansas.
Oh,
so you can put Kansas on a lot of things.
We have a coworker named Kansas.
We also have a chance for you to win an autographed guitar from Kansas. Send us your most entertaining guitar solo that's 92 seconds or less, and we'll play some of the best on the KQ Morning Show. Pick our favorite. That's what we'll do. We'll pick our favorite to win the guitar and tickets to see Kansas Friday, July 14th at the State Theater. Get entered. Check out complete contest rules at 92kqrs.com.
All right, we're done screwing around this morning. Time to bring in the talent. Acme Comedy Company headliner Derek Hughes joins us at 8 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
It is Thursday, July the 6th, and tonight, as well as the next 2 nights, Derek Hughes will be at the Acme Comedy Company. Derek Hughes is a comedian / magician / is it magician-comedian or is it comedian-magician? Stand-up magician.
That's my brand.
I like that brand.
Yeah, I got the website. I couldn't believe it. That light bulb was like, "Hey, a stand-up magician."
Did you sit down with a marketing team to come up with that?
No.
Did you hire the good people at what are they, like Price Waterhouse Coopers came up with this?
If I was
came up with that all by yourself?
If I was a better businessman, maybe I would hire somebody. No, that was the brainchild of 4 hours between 2 college gigs.
Nice.
Yeah, road time.
As all the best brainchilds are, products of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You are a local guy. You're a St. Paul kid.
Yep, grew up, Roseville, Stillwater, St. Paul, St. Paul Central.
Okay.
Go Minutemen.
I was going to ask, who are we going? Going Minutemen. All right,
Ultimately
very good.
A gopher, though.
I'm still learning all the high school mascots. I got Sparty and I got Minutemen. Okay, I got two. All right, so Derek, you as a kid, at some point it occurred to you either that you were funny or that you had a knack for magic. Which came first?
Magic came first. I got a magic kit when I was 10 years old. And in it there was a trick where you could turn a penny into a dime, and I was like, "Well, this is the path."
That's a hell of a trick.
Heck of a
Can
trick.
you show me how to do that afterwards?
The problem was, after discovering it, I realized I had to provide my own dime.
That's a bummer. Man, I was like, "Is this? Are we talking about alchemy here? This is base metals into gold."
Yeah,
that's a hell of a trick. So, 10 years old. That's a good age to discover a passion.
Yeah. Yeah,
and the magic trick, the magic box, I guess that worked. Was that is that a birthday gift, a Christmas gift?
It was funny. My buddy, his brother had a magic kit in their game closet, and it was just collecting dust. I had a chemistry set. I just thought it smelled like fart.
Right? Sure.
I was not interested. We traded. Mm-hmm. And I became a magician, and my buddy Don, he actually ended up doing time for selling meth. So I think we went
really
directions. Yeah.
Man,
that could have been me. That could have been me.
The sliding doors that we all have in our past.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So he smells like a fart and he's doing time and you're out making magic and making people laugh.
Yeah. I think key to that journey too is like 2 years into it, I met a buddy at a YMCA camp who had really great magic tricks, like these like professional caliber props. I'm like, where did you get this stuff? He said, Eagle Magic Store, downtown Minneapolis.
Okay.
We started hanging out and then he called me and he said, hey, there's a magic camp out in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Tannen's Magic Camp. 12 years old, talked our folks into going, and we went and we did a 2-man magic act in the contest, but it was a week long of professional magicians sharing their secrets and advice. So when I was 18, I started going back as a counselor.
Oh, nice!
And last week I went to Tannen's Magic Camp as a counselor, and I brought my sons to magic.
Wow, that is awesome!
Yeah.
Man, so as a kid growing up, then you're by 12, you're fully immersed in this. Were there who were the famous magicians, like names that listeners would know? Like you'd see him on TV and go, "That's the guy."
Harry Anderson from
Night Court.
Yeah, back in the day.
I forgot he was. Of course, he's a magician.
Fantastic magician.
Yeah.
He did in 1980, the 1 year that Lorne Michaels wasn't in charge of the SNL, they had variety acts on that year, and he got his break doing these short spots as Harry the Hat.
I remember
he was in the pilot episode of Cheers, right, doing his sort of con man character, and that led right to Night Court. He was so influential. I completely copied him for my junior high school talent show, like literally like the sleeveless white T-shirt, suspenders, glasses, a hat. I ended up pulling a bra out of my overweight vice principal's shirt.
Very strong.
Oh, I won. I crushed.
You get a bra in your vice principal's shirt. You're gonna get the fan vote every time.
Yeah.
And then Penn and Teller were kind of really hot and coming up at that time. And there's that coffee.
Oh, there it is, baby.
Much. Cheers.
We've got a coffee river flowing through this studio. That's incredible. Like, I know this is what I know about magic. When I see it, there's certain times when I find myself obsessed with it. Like I'll go down the rabbit hole on YouTube and I just want to see it. And then it kind of escapes me and I don't think about it. It's like I've never seen it up close. And then the first time I did, it blew me away to a level like I was really surprised by it. Like seeing card tricks standing right next to someone doing amazing tricks. That was like night and day. All I'd ever seen was guys on TV do that stuff.
Yeah,
but to see it up close, it's like I don't even know how to describe it other than it's like the first time you see someone like a contortionist. Like, how do you bend your body that way? That shouldn't happen. And that's what I felt like watching card tricks.
I think you're touching on something that's really key to the craft of magic, which is magic seen on TV, seen on YouTube. It's interesting, it's cool, it's compelling, but magic, more than any other art form or performance form, is you don't watch it, you witness it.
Okay, yeah, that makes
when
sense.
you are present in the room for impossible things,
Yeah.
that's when it really has an incredible impact. And that's what's happening at Acme. That's what I get to do. A lot of audience participation this week. I'm bringing people up on stage to be a part of the magic. No one gets embarrassed. I'm not making anybody look like a jerk, but we're trying to make some impossible things happen, and it is incredible when it happens right in front of you, right?
It's mind-boggling. Like get thee away from me, Satan. It's like that shouldn't be. You're bending the laws of what I think how the world operates.
Yeah, you want to try something?
Yeah, of course I want to try something.
What I want you to do is I got a crayon with me here because I want you to embrace a child's state of mind. I want you to go back in time.
This is good audio magic. I love it.
Yeah, we'll describe everything that is happening.
Yeah.
Radio listener. I have a business card and a crayon, and I'm going to ask Steve, I want you to just think of, close your eyes for a second. His eyes are closed, ladies and gentlemen. Go back to your kindergarten classroom.
I can see it.
And imagine that the teachers decorated the perimeter of the room has the alphabet.
Yep.
And I want you to focus on one letter.
Okay.
And the teacher goes to the front of the room.
Okay.
And writes one letter.
Okay.
And do you see one letter?
I do.
Open your eyes. Look at me. Okay. And a strong impression.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You could have thought of any letter. I didn't talk to you ahead of time.
Not at all.
You
Not at
could
all.
have thought A, B, C, D.
I could have.
E, F, G, H, I, J, K. You could have L, M, N, O, P, or Q, or R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y.
Those are the letters.
I'm not going to go through the entire alphabet.
Okay.
But you could have thought of any letter.
You pulled out at 21.
I'm committed. What letter did you think?
You want me to tell you?
Tell everybody.
I said the letter M.
The letter M. Was it uppercase or lowercase?
It was uppercase.
Uppercase.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Can you see that over there?
Oh my God! I can see all this happening. Yeah.
Over here, buddy.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
It's a monkey.
That is nuts.
Holy. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wrote a capital letter M.
He wrote a capital letter M.
For
I'm not touching that.
magic.
I'm not touching that card.
This card is for you. I need you to have my phone number.
Candace,
so you can
bring
hire
me
for
a
your kid's
crucifix
birthday
and
party.
point it at him and throw holy water on this
I
devil.
watched him do it. That was incredible.
He made you say M. He hypnotized you.
I guess so, but it's and in full disclosure, it was almost like a Rolodex. When you said picture the letters around the room, I was picturing them, and when you said pick one letter, it took me a second. I was like, no. Yeah, I mean, that's the I didn't have just the first one. There was a few, but then I guess the first one was them, and then I was trying to avoid it, but that's where it went back to.
So it could have gone
That's
a
really
different
weird.
direction. Yeah,
It could have.
Yeah, how's it feel, Steve? How's it feel inside?
No, it makes me kind of want to. I'm excited, and I want to throw up.
I
experience this a lot.
That's
Is it
very
weird?
that's very bizarre.
My reaction to it was, can you use this to commit crimes? This power that you have.
Derek Hughes is at the Acme Comedy Company tonight at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 2 shows, 7 to 9:30. Saturday, 2 shows, 7 to 9:30. And I am nauseous. That's really strange. Well done.
Thanks, brother.
Man. Okay, so how old are you before? Okay, you're an 11th grader. You pull the bra out of your vice principal's shirt. That's a pretty strong trick.
That's 9th grade.
9th grade.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of freaking people out pretty quick.
You know what? I had a buddy a couple years later in high school, St. Paul Central, my buddy Dominic. He was a busboy at TGI Fridays in Roseville. And he's like, he knew I was talking about people doing magic in restaurants, and I didn't really have a venue. You're young. I would cold call like nursing homes. I was big on the nursing home circuit.
Okay.
But other than that, I wasn't getting a lot of stage time.
Yeah.
He demanded I come in and talk to the GM Chaz and say, hey, I should do magic table to table in your restaurant.
Right.
That led to for 9 years. I did close-up magic at TGI Fridays restaurants here in the Twin Cities. Sometimes 7 nights a week, 2 hours a night, table to table. If they're backed up in the kitchen, I would come out with my, my miracles and keep everybody happy. But that was where I got my 10,000 hours. Was
right.
Going table to table and
What's the I mean, I know what it's like to be in a band, and when you're starting out and you go out and you meet other band, you cross paths and you meet other bands, and right away, I always say bands are like dogs. You sniff each other and you're either friends or you're not. Like you can like, we're going to hang out with those guys, or those guys suck, and there's rivalries and competition, but
East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, there's all that, like your local scene, but then if you run into that same band you hate and you're both in another city, then you're all best friends because you're both not from, hey, what are you doing here? All right, what's up? And then you get back home home and you're like, man, get out of here. Is the magic world? Is it just as full of that kind of nonsense? Is it supportive? Is it competitive? Is it what is that world? How do you enter into a world of people who are just the whole point is to like fool you and trick you and amaze you and awe you? It just seems like a whole lot of energy in a room. You put 4 magicians in a room, I'd expect there to be like smoke or something happening. It's a lot of misdirection going on.
Well, it's all that, like everything you were just saying about bands totally applies to magic, and there's sort of different, magic's funny because I mentioned Eagle Magic Store.
Yeah.
And there's a type of magician, like you could decide, hey, I want to do a magic show, and you could go to Eagle Magic Store out in Burnsville, and you could buy a bunch of 20 minutes worth of magic tricks and string them together, and those tricks will come with a script that the creator of that trick put together, and you would have a show. Now, it's not your show, it's not your voice, it's not your original expression, but how many magic shows does an average audience member see? Like one in a lifetime, right? Hey, that's a pretty good magic show they saw. But it's a hack, and it's and so there's a lot of like posturing and judgment if you're not creating your own spin on a thing. And there's only a handful of effects in magic too. You make something levitate, you tear something up and put it together. So you're working with these common themes.
Right.
So it's really about how do you bring your personality, your character,
that makes sense,
point of view into that expression. And sometimes in this craft, someone will come up with something really great, and then someone else will go, "Hey, I like that.
Yeah,
that fixes something in my show. Let me just put it in my show." And that is where the divide. I have a lot of you talk about running into that band you hate, but your buddies for the weekend.
Right.
Some of my very best frenemies.
Yeah, of course.
My fellow working magicians.
Yeah. The idea of a magician fight's pretty good. Like, your shoelace is untied. How did that happen? Wow. It's like, who could get over on the other guy with the best trick? Yes. Derek Hughes, you're at Acme Comedy Company tonight at 8 p.m., the next 2 nights at 7 and 9:30, 2 shows each night. You were on America's Got Talent.
That's true.
Positive experience? Weird experience?
Super weird experience. I made it all the way. I was a top 10 finalist.
Nice.
Which was pretty exciting. It was Howard Stern's last year as a judge.
Okay.
So that meant Radio City Music Hall.
Oh, nice.
It's all in L.A. now.
Yeah.
But
right.
I feel like, wow, I lucked out that I got to play that iconic venue.
Sure. It's way bigger than you think, isn't it?
6,000 seats, that
thing's
place.
Huge.
Wow. You played it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's also just simply tall. Like the ceiling is, it's a humongous room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, I couldn't believe it the first time I saw it.
When we did the first sort of camera walkthrough, the camera rehearsal, so you're standing on your mark in this giant cavernous empty space, and you're going to be on live television, the next day. It was overwhelming. I took my camera out, and from my mark, I took a picture of the auditorium, and then I kept that picture up in the hotel room, a couple blocks away.
Yeah,
I rehearsed my 3 minutes over and over again, but visualizing that space.
Oh, that's awesome.
So by the time it was live, I'd kind of already done it, 50 times.
Nice thinking.
It was pretty helpful.
Derek Hughes, you were 16 in what year?
Oh, my God, don't make me do math.
Okay.
What's wrong with you? I just turned 52. How you do the math?
Okay, so sometime in the 80s. Favorite band as a 16, 17-year-old? What were you listening to?
Come on, I just went to see Roger Waters, when he was...
Really?
Finally, the ticket came through. it got postponed because of COVID, but Pink Floyd.
So that answers my next question. Did you smoke pot as a kid? All right, fair enough.
Are my kids listening?
Floyd, I like it. That's a good answer. First concert you ever saw, and then we got to bounce.
You got it. Joshua Tree, U2.
Oh, St. Paul. Lee, that's not bad at all.
Hey, thanks.
That's really strong. Most people are like, well, my parents dragged me to the Beach Boys, or you get something like that. Look at you coming out strong, Joshua Tree.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Derek Hughes, it is a pleasure, brother, and I don't like the M. I don't like the magic trick at all. It still unsettles me.
Believe.
But, yeah, no quitting. Acme Comedy Company tonight at 8, next 2 nights, 7 and 9:30. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, you guys.
That was awesome. If you have ever taught a kid how to drive a car, then you have our sympathies. We've all been through it. We've all learned ourselves. We've all tried to teach other people. It's a complete pain in the ass. One day that bouncing baby boy is in the driver's seat of your car and you're thinking, what the hell have I done wrong to earn this? We've had a lot of calls and a lot of comments. Zep, there's a Facebook comment I think you wanted to share with us.
No, first of all, I love that Paul totaled a driver's ed car. I don't totaled it.
Yes.
That's it. That's the story he left us with.
That's
Kathleen elaborates on this one. Immediately after my 16-year-old daughter passed her driver's test, my husband decided they would surprise me by picking me up at the hospital where I worked. Naturally, my daughter was driving, and as she pulled into a parking space, she hit a priest. Not a priest's car, but the man. The priest fell to the ground, but was relatively unhurt. My daughter and husband helped the priest to his feet, and my daughter started crying and apologizing.
Sure.
She was so distraught that the priest tried to comfort her. He forgave her, and then started praying out loud, asking Jesus to protect her and others while she was behind the wheel.
Oh, my God.
She kind of got blessed there, I guess. But she hit a freaking priest.
A priest and a rabbi get hit behind a bar.
I know. I felt like I was telling a joke there, right?
Oh, that is incredible.
Yeah.
I do have another type of travel story I want to get to, but first, Candace, I think we have a caller.
Jim from Chaska.
Jim, good morning.
Good morning. So here's a little twist on your driving. My parents were born in Chicago, so my mom never drove because in the city you don't have to have a car.
Right.
So we moved out to the country. I'm 8. My other sister's 6. My little sister's 3. So my dad decides he has to teach my mom to drive because she needs to do stuff. So all 3 of us pile in the car to watch my dad teach my mom how to drive. And brake! You're going too fast. Slow down. You're in the other guy's lane. Do this. No, go over here. I told you not to do that. You can't do this. And I'm thinking to myself, God, I'm 8 years old. I've got 8 more years, and I get to look forward to this myself.
Yeah, right.
I had the wherewithal back then to think about it. That I'm like, oh man, I have to go through this. So when I was 15, getting my permit, I had my mom sit with me versus my dad because just like you, I'm not having the old man sit next to me in the car yelling at me.
Yeah, sure. Man, that's tough. That's got to be tough for mom learning in front of the kids, too.
Oh, exactly. It was really tough. And then when my daughters were growing up, my wife taught the kids to drive around the neighborhood, but she says, you teach them how to merge onto Highway 212 out here because I'm not going to teach them. So I told them, I said, hey, you're going to go out on a highway, and the cars that are going there are going 65 miles an hour. If you're not going 65 by the time you get to the end of this merge, I said, you're going to get your car wrecked.
Yep.
So let's go. So both kids just jumped on the gas pedal, head back in the seat, and I'm like, you don't have to floor it. I said, make sure you go 65. Don't be going 45 and trying to merge into traffic that's going 65. But both kids damn near floored the car and gave me a whiplash because Dad told them to get going 65 miles an hour.
Hey, at least they listened. That's great. Thank you for the call, man. We appreciate you holding on for us.
Have a good one.
My dad did have one driving line. His maxim was this: courtesy kills. and the point he was making is, that like if you don't let someone merge, that where you have to pound the brakes. They're supposed to learn, to speed up, like our caller just said. He's like, when you get to the 4-way stop, if you're there first, just go. Don't wait. Don't wave the next guy on thinking you're nice. Don't stop the flow of traffic to let someone in that doesn't know how to do it. He's like, there's a format, there's a protocol, and if you try to be nice and bend the rules, someone's going to rear end you. Like, that's what he was basically saying. Like, the unexpected. It drives me nuts when I'm at a stop sign and someone's driving along and they just stop themselves to let me in when they don't have a stop sign. I'm like, what are you doing? I guess thanks, but that's not how this is supposed to work.
Right.
I'll get out eventually.
Oh, that's how it works here.
Yeah,
You're going to encounter that all the time.
Oh, no, I'm well aware of what
Yeah.
I'm saying now.
Mm-hmm.
Like first week I was in town, I think you mentioned the Minnesota standoff.
Sure.
At the four-way stop. Let's
It's a
cover it
real
again.
thing.
A lot of courtesy waves.
Yeah.
You get there at the same time. The one on the right goes. I don't know how many times. Boom! We both stop at the same time. I
Yep.
look to my right,
That's
and
it.
they wave me. I'm like, all right, okay.
No, you go ahead.
All
Ben.
right.
Makes me
I
nuts.
don't even hesitate. If they give me as soon as the hand goes up, and boom, I'm not giving them the wave back because that's happened before. No, you go. No, you go. Oh my God.
Makes me nuts.
Yeah.
Form and function, two things that we make a lot of decisions in life. You can look at different societies and see which one they value more, probably, I think. And I'm thinking of this because I have a story from Japan Airlines. And the reason I mentioned form and function, because I've been to Japan several times, and I think they marry the two things so well. Everything works and everything looks stylish. Like a manhole cover is like a work of art. You know what I mean? You just there's so many things you come across in Japan where you're like, someone took so long to make that look just so, and it's the most efficient whatever it is I've ever seen. It's just a marvel. It's an incredible way of going about life. However, this is taking it a little too far. Okay? Japan Airlines is offering a new service. Japan Airlines wants to lessen the weight of their flights to try to reduce the carbon emissions.
All right.
Here's the suggestion they have. Let's just stop checking luggage, guys. You know what we're going to do here at Japan Airlines? We're going to launch a campaign, and it's called the Anywhere, two different words, Anywhere, anywhere. One word. So Anywhere, anywhere program. You will rent clothes to be delivered to your hotel when you arrive.
All right.
Don't bring a suitcase. Let Japan Airlines connect you with a company that will provide you clothes at your destination. Are you willing to rent clothes waiting for you at your hotel to avoid possible luggage delays and the stress of packing a suitcase?
Well, is that a one-size-fits-all kimono? You just sort of draw. I don't even know if that's a thing you wear. It just seems to me it was that big robe-looking thing we could all wear over there.
One set of clothing, it'll cost you anywhere from $20 to $40. You can rent up to 8 outfits for as long as 2 weeks. So my question is, when you're traveling, how important is it that you're wearing your own clothes? And how important is it that they fit just right and that they look just right? If not, maybe this is a program for you.
Depends what you're in town for.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Candace, you just went to Los Angeles. What if I had said, tell you what, Candace, you just show up. We're going to have some clothes waiting for you.
No.
Not a chance.
Nope. I would not do that because I got looks. I got looks. I have things for specific things that I'm going to.
You have your signature items.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd be less picky. Just nothing too weird or too tight. But just give me a t-shirt and pants.
Here we
and
go.
some comfortable footwear. I guess
3
I would.
sizes to your wardrobe: small, medium, and large.
All right.
3 styles: smart casual, and mixed.
Wow. So
I like
arbitrary.
the word casual. Yeah, I'll just go with that.
The
Yeah, I
clothes
think I
will be
would do
delivered
this.
to the hotel. You can also leave them to be collected. Orders must be placed a month in advance. Yeah, this is as un-American a concept as I've ever can imagine.
So you have to rent boxers too.
Maybe you can bring those
Japan.
in a carry-on.
It's Japan. You don't wear underwear in Japan.
It does remind me. I do know several musicians who are at the upper echelon. One, for example, Keith Richards. He's had a guy who's been his personal assistant for years, and that guy told me that anywhere Keith goes in the world, his stuff's waiting for him. There's just he's got road cases like big luggage with everything he would ever need, and there's several sets of it, and anywhere he decides to go, it's already there when he gets there. And I remember thinking like that. Now that is like if Keith wakes up one day and is like, I'm going to go to Los Angeles, then someone is ahead of him getting his stuff ready for when he gets there. They travel with this stuff ahead of time. And I thought, this is going back years and years when I heard this story. The guy was explaining it to me, and I was like, That's the coolest thing in the world. That's the greatest thing I've ever heard, which is just I walk onto a plane, and if you're Keith, you just walk on with, I guess, your slide and a buck knife, because that's all he really needs. And then all your stuff's going to be waiting for you. Your clothes, all these clothes you're going to need, a turntable, some records, your smokes. It's all ahead.
Yeah.
Just get it when you get there.
That's awesome. It's a better way to do it. Or you could make the seats on the airplane bigger and take fewer people. That'd be I thought that's what you were going to say. Finally, someone's, giving us a little leg room there, and that's how they're going to cut down the weight on these planes. But no, don't bring your clothes.
So basically, here's your option. You can fly on Japan Airlines, and they can provide you with clothes, or you can be in the Rolling Stones. Either way, you're gonna travel a lot lighter.
Yeah.
All right, good to know.
I don't know if I could pull that off or not. Anyway, the whole Stones thing. I'm looking at our guest here. At 9 o'clock, we're going to speak with Alicia Dennis about the 7th season of the hit series People Magazine Investigates.
Oh, true crime? Come on.
Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, July the 6th. Good morning. Tom Petty into the Great Wide Open. Is that the video Johnny Depp was in, I believe?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Memory serves.
That's right, it was.
Yeah. I met Johnny Depp once, and it was at a Tom Petty show. I just remembered.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait, hey, I think that was there was some connection there, clearly.
Yeah, the Winona tattoo.
Oh, that's right. He did have the Winona Forever tattoo.
Now it says Wino Forever.
It's a thin line from Winona to Wino.
Yeah, I guess
Don't she know?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to be speaking momentarily with Alicia Dennis. Who is she, you may be asking? She's the editorial director, and she's the host of a series, People Magazine Investigates, on Investigation Discovery. Their 2-hour season premiere is Monday, July 10th. It's true crime time on the KQ Morning Show. But before we do that, I do need to remind you that we are offering you a chance possibly to win free gas for a year. Check it out right now. Text Radiator. Text the word Radiator to 651-989-ROCK for a chance to win $92.50 in free gas. Tickets to an upcoming show at the Medina Entertainment Center, plus a shot, as I said, at free gas for a year. That's sponsored by Body Gastroenterology. Prize provided by Quick Trip and the Medina Entertainment Center. Radiator. Text it to 651-989-ROCK. And right now, joining us, as I just mentioned, Alicia Dennis from People Magazine's Investigates. Alicia, good morning.
Good morning.
So, okay, I just saw the trailer for this new season. You drop a little breadcrumb about a serial killer. Now, there's a common thought out there that says serial killers, it's kind of impossible to be one these days because technology's developed quickly, smartphones, communication between law enforcement agencies. I guess you guys are here to remind us that's not necessarily the case.
You know what? You make a really good point. I think it's gotten harder to get away with these things, but somehow people do find ways.
And you will be investigating that this season. The premiere is Monday, July 10th. People Magazine Investigates. How do you guys select which cases to profile? You've got a bunch of episodes. I imagine you have hundreds of possible stories that you look at before a season, before you make these choices.
You're right. It's really, really, really hard. We have the crime team gets together. We spend a lot of time talking about what cases could be part of a season. We take a very close look at what investigators are available to appear on camera, what victims' families want to share their stories. We try to make sure that we have cases that have been solved so our viewers can watch an episode and see by the end, how this was resolved, as well as having cases that are open-ended. We had a situation in one of our seasons where our investigation led to an arrest. And we love that. We want that to happen. So it's very hard to do. And we're a 24/7 news site, so our journalists are covering stories on people.com all the time. And so you're right. There are hundreds to choose from in it. We could have a bunch more seasons, I guess. We're only in season 7. We need more.
Incredible. Alicia Dennis is with us on the KQ Morning Show. Are you At this stage, or do you even remember, was true crime something you were paying attention to before you moved into this show? I mean, was this an opportunity that after you took the gig, you started focusing on it, or was this something you were already very familiar with?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I worked for People magazine in all the different sections, from, celebrity and music and movies, and covering red carpets and these kinds of things, as well as covering crime. Ever since the magazine started almost 50 years ago, they have covered crime cases. And so I was, in court and running around the grounds and covering different cases. And when I took over the crime section at People, I found it really interesting that it seemed like the rest of the world or the nation was starting to pay more attention to crime stories in a way that maybe they hadn't before. I don't know, that armchair detective kind of thing was really taking off. And so one of the things that I think we do well at People is tell stories through the eyes of the people experiencing those stories. And so that's exactly what we do in our crime coverage as well. We're making sure that we're giving voices to the people inside those cases. And so it's been really helpful for us as people become more interested in this kind of story that we'd already been doing it.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. You mentioned that when you're looking at a story and trying to figure out if it's one you want to produce, you have to think about who's willing to talk about it. Do family members and survivors want to share their stories? Is that the toughest part of the gig? I think in the initial stages, just having those early conversations must be pretty grueling at times.
It's really, really hard, and it's really emotional. It can take a toll on a journalist as well if, these are the kinds of cases that are the only things that you're investigating. But I think what's important to remember, and what we try to remember, is that these people, part of their healing process is sharing this story. And this really horrific thing happened in their life, and the rest of the world moved on. They haven't moved on, and they really want people to know about their loved one. They want it to be more than just this horrible thing that happened. And so a lot of times them sharing their story is about honoring the memory of their loved one, as well as trying to get justice for their loved one. And so it can be very hard for them and very emotional, but I think it's part of what they feel they need to do. And we need to let them,
Sure. Alicia Dennis is with us on the KQ Morning Show. The 7th season of People Magazine Investigates premieres Monday, July 10th on Investigation Discovery. There's a 2-hour season premiere. How many episodes are in this upcoming season?
We have 10 episodes. Some are 2 hours, so you're going to get a bigger chunk in those particular episodes. But I think they're all very interesting. We have a couple of missing persons cases, one that's relatively recent from 2018, the disappearance of a 16-year-old girl named Carly Gousey in California. We have a lot of hope that something will come out of that particular investigation. But I think that we have, you mentioned serial killer investigations. We have 2 this season. A look into an unsolved case out of Austin, Texas, the yogurt shop murders that happened in 1991. But yeah, there's just a lot to get into this season.
Now, Alicia Dennis, do you ever find law enforcement contacting you guys and saying, hey, can you do a special on this? We're just looking for the public to pop open some information here, and we feel like if we get the story out that we might get some fresh tips on a story.
Yes, we actually have had that happen a few times, and we love when that occurs for them to, get in touch with us, because a lot of times they'll share with us information that they haven't necessarily shared publicly yet, and we're able to, work within that investigation. We've had that happen a few times. There was one situation where, the FBI was looking at a particular case and, had done some video grabs of the crime scene, which was kind of left frozen in time, that, we were able to talk about and share and really report that investigation. And so that's always a good thing when we can work side by side and maybe share new eyes on a particular investigation. One of our journalists was asked in one case to look at some files in a particular cold case as we were looking into it to see if there was anything new to point out. And I think what you have to remember is while these investigators are experts in their field, having a pair of fresh eyes can often be a really good thing in an investigation.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, that perfectly checks out. There's a scene also in the trailer, I believe it's a detective, and he mentions a specific moment in an investigation that sticks with him the most. It's like the thing he can't forget. From this season, the 7th season that premieres Monday, July 10th, what sticks with you the most? Is there a certain person or a storyline? Is one of these, for any particular reason, more impactful than the others to you?
Oh, wow. It's really hard to choose because they're all there for a reason and they all really touch me in different ways. But there's this case of a young boy who left home in 1991 and never returned. His name is Mark Heimbaugh, and his mother has stayed in the same house that he left and often sits out the window and looks for him to come back. It's when I can just see the image of her sitting there and hear her voice talking about him. And we got to see a little letter that he'd written to her, and I can see his handwriting. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the ones that kind of, I can see all those things often, even when I'm not thinking about the case at all.
Alicia, I'm married to a true crime obsessive lately. My wife is she's fallen down the rabbit hole over the last few years. Podcasts and YouTube series and all kinds of stuff, as have so many other millions of Americans. Is there a quick, easy explanation in your mind for why these things are still so compelling and still growing in interest?
I think that we have a need to know. I think we want to know the truth about things, and I think that we have an armchair detective maybe in all of us, where we want to sit there and we want to hear about a case and we want to think that we know how to solve it, or we're asking questions and we want to know. I think there's a little bit of that. I wonder if there's not also that kind of feeling of people aren't always what they seem. That, your neighbor across the street is really friendly and really nice. Could be hiding a dark secret. A lot of these cases expose that, where you're thinking that someone is somebody that they're not. I think that that's kind of intriguing to people.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I wonder if there's not a part of it where it makes you grateful for what you do have, that maybe you're not going through some of the things that the people in these cases are. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that all checks out. I mean, there's probably everybody you ask would have a different reason, but they all seem to make sense. Alicia Dennis, People Magazine's editorial director. The show, People Magazine Investigates, premieres season number 7, Monday, July 10th at 8 Central Time on Investigation Discovery. Alicia, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, and have your wife give me a call. We can go over some of these cases.
You have no idea what sort of world you just opened yourself up to. I will pass that message along. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See ya. We were talking off air before the show. There's a story, my former hometown of Nashville, Tennessee, a former local newsman. There's a big story. It's just starting to get some national heat, where he's a prime suspect in the murder of his own son. It's a wild thing that's slowly trickling out because he's a member of the media and has a lot of powerful friends. He's gotten a 3-year cover, but man, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think that's going to be one of those datelines you'll see sooner than later as more and more people become aware of the story. But, every town, everybody in our life somewhere, if you look back, there was a story that you remember of an unsolved crime or a suspicious crime, or a guy got off and you were quite sure he was probably guilty. There's it's funny because it's always been happening, but it's just in the last 20 years. What was the first show really?
America's Most Wanted.
That's it.
Shined a light.
Or anyone you know has information about this. Yeah, that was. America's Most Wanted, was that the dad of the kid that went?
Yeah.
Walsh.
Yes.
What's the one that Robert Stack? Wasn't he the host of one?
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries.
He had the London Fog trench coat. If you or anyone else knows anything about this case, the case of the missing crackers, please call us.
Love that show.
Dad ate them.
Yeah, pretty simple. What's the question here?
Yeah, right, exactly. Follow the crumbs back to Dad's. I like the angle that she mentioned there at the end, and it's always when you watch these, it literally could be the guy that lives across the street.
Of course.
Or the guy, or this person right down there that all of a sudden found themselves in a web of entanglement and then ended up murdering their way out of it. There was just some kid busted. I saw the story this morning, embezzled $450,000 from his dad's trust fund. His dad found out about it, so he murdered him. His lawyer father, yeah. And I really want to know how you get to be one of these powerful people in the media that get away with murder. I don't know that I'm in the media. I feel like everyone would rat me out in a second. How do you get to be powerful?
Not sure.
I mean, after 34 years of waiting for the power.
It's just all about who you know, I think. Yeah. We had a neighbor, a single mom with a young, probably an 8 or 9, 10-year-old boy. We moved into a place once, and she lived right across the street, and she never, ever acknowledged other people. Like, you'd see them out, the car would pull in, she and the kid would jump out and run right into the house. They'd run right to the car. They were never, and this was a neighborhood where everybody was on the front porch. How you doing? Good to see you. Pedestrians walking by. No one ever interacted with them. And so, of course, all the rest of the neighbors just referred to her as witness protection.
Right.
She's clearly,
assumed.
this is witness protection. Must be. To this day, I have no idea what the story was. Could just be kind of shy. Probably a wonderful woman. But, far be it from any of us to ever actually cross the street and go, excuse me, can I have a moment of your time? Can I help you out? Do you need anything? No, we just, witness protection. Yeah, you'll never get a thing out of her.
She was agoraphobic and had to dash to her car.
Of course. Could have been anything.
Although this true crime wave that's sweeping the United States, I bet has spurned a lot of calls, right? A lot of people calling in for that very reason. Well, my neighbor's just running into the house and not making eye contact. I bet they've murdered someone.
Yep.
Sports and music history, shall we lighten it up just a hair? Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe just a hair here at 9:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. So far on the show today, it's been a banner day. We talked about driver's ed. We had a stand-up magician on the show, Derek Hughes, who's over at Acme tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday night. He freaked me out. He pulled a letter out of my brain and wrote it on the back of a card, which is not cool.
That was spooky.
Mind-blowing. We talked true crime with one of the executive producers of People Investigates on Investigation Discovery. Had a lot going on. So, of course, the day would not be complete if not for breaking news that a woman in South Carolina has been killed by an alligator near a golf course.
I know.
What? Seriously, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Golf courses in the southeast, particularly in Florida, but as far north as Georgia and South Carolina, especially Hilton Head and Kiowa. Yeah, gators. Got to watch out.
These almost become comical. Not this story, of course. This is what makes it so very real, is that just this week alone, a alligator went in through a couple that had rented an Airbnb's dog door,
Yeah, right.
And little things like this. Someone else at a golf course last week, a gator came out and grabbed the golf ball and went back in the water, but now someone's dead.
69-year-old woman, she's not been named, walking her dog on a golf course. Not a good idea.
Yeah, right.
It's just amazing. You never know. I guess things that may seem innocuous can turn on you. With which case, by the way, we never got around to this one. Speaking of things that seem innocuous, I'm a fan of the moving sidewalk at an airport myself.
Yeah.
No, never hesitate to get on it, and
Right.
I do walk. I don't ride it. I walk in the left lane of the moving sidewalk. I was at MSP last week. Just trucking on that moving sidewalk. Glad to have it there.
Yep.
And I make sure as I'm approaching the end, you get your steps. Make sure you're eyeballing it. Your body knows exactly where to put your foot to make sure you step off the moving sidewalk and keep moving, and stay upright. This is a true story from earlier this week. The Don Muang International Airport in Bangkok, Thailand. There was a moving sidewalk incident. A 57-year-old Thai woman. Her foot got trapped at the very end of the moving sidewalk. Like, as she was stepping off, her foot caught something. There was a little piece of some, I don't even know how to explain this. The little border between the part that's moving and the part that's not was missing.
It creates a little ramp, a little tapered
that
deal.
tiny little tapered, thank you. Those are words I was looking for, the tapered ramp. A piece was missing. Her toe caught. She went down, and it pulled her foot and then, in fact, her leg into the machinery, like out of view. Her leg was stuck above the knee. It pulled all the way past her knee into the moving sidewalk machinery, and she was stuck. She could not move. They turned the moving sidewalk off. They could not release her. They couldn't figure out how to open it up. Paramedics arrived because she's in a lot of pain, and there's a lot of blood loss. And the paramedics made the decision at the airport, right there on the spot, to go Battle of Vicksburg Civil War surgery. They amputated above the knee right there on the moving sidewalk.
They give her some whiskey and a bullet.
I believe they did. God. They said, "We appreciate your service. The state of Virginia will never forgive you." They took the woman's leg right there at the airport to make sure they could stop the bleeding. That saved her life, they said.
Yeah, just when you think you've seen it all at an airport, you're a well-traveled individual, Mr. Gorman. A leg being amputated at the walkway. Oh, there's that. Holy crap.
I've seen like a drunk guy at an airport bar throw up before. Yeah. But I've seen people throw up in a lot of places. I've never heard of anything close to this in an airport or anywhere, for that matter. No, anywhere where there's a moving sidewalk.
I saw a young guy, probably 8-10 years old, try to hurdle a row of seats once, catch his foot, face plant, and break his nose. There was blood everywhere. Not nearly as bad. But not above the knee. I mean, that requires a saw. That's getting into it.
Oh yeah, no, they showed up ready to rock.
I like the airport spokesman issued an apology, of course, said that they're going to cover the woman's medical bills and are, quote, open for negotiations regarding other compensation. She will own your airport.
Yeah, really, it's going to
own
it. The James Huang, whatever the name is of that international airport, it's going to be Peg Leg Susie's International Airport.
An escalator. There's an escalator. There's a chance, I suppose, with the moving steps, but this is a walkway. We were talking about this earlier today, and Candace said she was probably screwing around, which, by the way, already makes you a mom. You don't have to have a kid. You're already a mom now because she was probably screwing around, but all this, lay down flat. I mean, just be as weird as you want on a walkway. How the hell could you get sucked in? But yeah, they're investigating this guard plate. This tapered guard plate may have been missing. There's a picture of it missing afterwards, but they don't know when it went missing. But yeah, that's just go ahead and write a blank check to that woman.
We always walk overly fast on those things because the visual is amazing. You look like the Flash.
Oh yeah, of course. It's great. That's just one of those, like, just add that to the list of things that when you hear someone's, I don't know, moving sidewalks freak me out. I'm always like, what could possibly go wrong? Well, now we know.
Yeah. I'll make sure I get that hop going. Pick up your feet.
No kidding there. All right, screw it. Let's look back. How about a history lesson? It is July the 6th, and in 1995, on this day, the prosecution rested in the O.J. Simpson. Remember, he was once a football player. In the O.J. Simpson trial. I can't imagine anybody thinking that Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden were going to win that case. As soon as it started, I watched the opening arguments of the O.J. Simpson trial on CNN live from a hotel room in Germany. And I remember watching it going, they're going to get killed. Yeah. Christopher Darden was in so deep over his head. And I'm sure he was a fine attorney, but in that situation, you got to be a performer as well. Yeah. You cannot hem and haw. You need, what's his name, the West Wing guy to show up and write your script for you. You need some writing.
Aaron Sorkin.
You need Aaron Sorkin to write your bits. The defense had all that. The prosecution certainly did not.
How about when she got a perm about halfway through the trials at some point? She just got a perm and her hair was curly.
Yeah,
and I thought this is over.
I had the same reaction. Yeah. Like we're getting off track here.
Hey, we have an extra minute here before we bug out. So I think we have Greg that wanted to talk about an amputated leg story.
Close, yeah. Greg from Prior Lake.
Oh,
good morning, Greg.
Good morning, gentlemen, ladies. Hey, the devil must have been gone down to Georgia. On that last one.
Yeah, sure.
Back in the day, I'll make it quick. There was a gentleman that was, working the rails, and he was, in the yard, and disconnecting and reconnecting the trains, the carts as they come by, or, back up, switch. I don't know if he's not a switchman, but anyway, he got stuck between the two cars connecting.
Mm-hmm. Ouch.
With those big claspy things that hook the cars up.
Oh, boy.
It caught him right midsection around the waist.
Oh,
and he was trapped there. The paramedics showed up. They figured out that if they release this around his waist, he's going to drop dead.
Oh, man.
He's still there.
They got in contact with his family, and they all came around and basically said goodbye, and the paramedics were all there lined up. And they knew what was going to happen when they disconnected him from those two rail cars.
Oh,
they released it around his waist like a really super tight belt noose.
Okay.
And he dropped dead.
Oh, wow. Ouch, that sucks.
The silver lining, I guess they got to say their goodbyes.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
That was probably a good 20, 25 years ago.
Wow. All right. Well, on that note, I'm sorry we got to bounce, but thanks for the thanks for the pick me up.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.